Hi, this is Neal Walters, and this is my story about how I quit worrying about my retirement and how I plan to move my retirement up even 10 years. But first, before I tell you about that, let me tell you a little bit about myself so you can know who you're dealing with here. Basically, I'm about 54 years old now. I got my first job when I was about 15 years old in a small West Texas town called Seminole, Texas. Worked in a Dairy Queen actually, and then I moved up to janitorial position. So from there I went to college, and I actually had 3 jobs in college at the same time. So basically I always had a little bit of spare cash in my pocket. And then I got what I call 3 degrees in money. I got an accounting undergrad, I got an MBA in Management Information Systems, or IT technology we call it these days. And then while I was working full-time for an oil company, I went to law school at night. So yes, those are 3 money degrees, but yet I don't have any. No, I've been comfortable, but never, super successful, right? I've always basically had a job or been in consulting, and that's some of the things we're going to talk about. So why didn't I become a lawyer, you ask, after going to law? Well, I basically stayed with IT because I was already making more money in the IT field, even back in the 1980s, than some of the beginning lawyers were making. So I didn't want to step down to being a lawyer, so to speak, even though I did pass the bar exam in Oklahoma. I worked for this oil company for 10 years, and when I was 30 years old, I thought, well, with a law degree and everything, I should be vice president by now, and obviously that didn't happen. And so I decided I need to take charge of my own career. And my accountant, a friend of mine, and we were working on a bank reconciliation program, and we thought we can get this thing to market and make tons of money. And this was before the internet. We're talking about 1991-ish here. And so we did get the business going. We finished our program, but we didn't know much about marketing at that time. And so basically that was my first big business failure. And I lived off my corporate income for those 10 years that I'd saved up and used that all in a couple of years. So then I had to go back into consulting, or I had to go back into IT, and so I became a consultant, and then basically I ended up traveling different places, and I was still a mainframe consultant at that time. And then, I knew the mainframe was petering out. And that's one of the problems with the IT consulting is it changes like almost every year, but maybe every 3 to 5 years you have to relearn 90% of what you know because it just keeps changing. So I did retool myself. I became a Microsoft certified trainer, and I got all the major Microsoft certifications that were available back then. And then I kind of went on the road as a Microsoft trainer, and I was independent though, so I was always looking for these little 3 to 5 day classes, and there were sometimes you couldn't find enough days in the month to stay busy, so sometimes you'd be home a week. So during those times I was home, I did several things. Number one, I was working on a Hebrew program that I actually wrote. And I started that in about 1999 and developed it and got some people to record the sound files, and I sold that on my website. So that's one of the things that actually got me into internet marketing, was this selling my own Hebrew program. And over 10 years I sold over $100,000 of that program. That's not a lot, that's only like $10,000 a year, but it introduced me to the world of marketing a little. And then because I was selling one Hebrew product, I thought, well, let me see what other Hebrew products are out there. And in the past, I had actually learned several languages from Pimsleur, which is a great way to learn languages. It's an audio CD, now it's probably MP3s, but back then it was cassettes, and we were just still moving to CDs. And so I got registered as a reseller for that product, and I thought I'll just try this for a while. And actually before long, I was just selling tons of these things, and it was a major success. My dad was shipping them for me actually from his home in Oklahoma, and it was doing pretty well. And actually I sold over $1 million of that product in about 2 years' time. And then one day I got a letter from Simon & Schuster, the people I was buying it from, and they said, no more, the game's over. And they basically said they terminated my reseller account and no further information would be provided. So I wondered to myself, what did I do? Did I violate some terms of service, or maybe I was selling too much? I really don't even know today what happened, but it happened. And so that business was just cut off overnight. And I didn't go bankrupt or anything, but it was a source of income that was dried up. So then I decided, okay, I'm just going to go back into consulting, working 40 hours a week like the rest of the world, right? So by then I'd been a trainer on a product called BizTalk. That's a Microsoft tool that allows companies to do B2B, business-to-business transactions, and make their systems inside their company talk. And so I became a BizTalk expert, and I've been doing that now for 10 plus years or more, well, 10 plus, and still do that today. And that's good, but even as a consultant now, I don't have the retirement that I wish I had. I have to have an IRA and I have to set different things up for myself. So I'm realizing that I need to do something besides my 40 hours a week in order to get ahead and to get a jump on this retirement thing. I'm going to turn 54 in about a week or two, and I'm thinking of this more and more now because I keep talking about my dad, and you'll hear more about him in a minute, but he was 58 when he retired. He worked 38 years for the same company, and they retired him at 38. It was one of those, we suggest you take the retirement package now or else you may not have a job. So he took the retirement package, and he's been living, successfully off his retirement for all these years. But in today's world, there's not many of us that work 38 years at one company anymore. We tend to move around. The average IT job for me is about a year, basically. So now, that's been pretty good, except there are times between jobs, like one job will end, it may take me 2 months before I find my next job. So that's 2 months with no income, and the advantage is though, during those 2 months I'm able to work on some of my marketing things and learn more and make little advances in that area. But I had a real crash in 2009. A lot of people had problems, I think it was 2008, with the mortgage industry and the real estate crisis and things going down. It hit me in 2009 when one job ended, and it took me about 7 months, I think it was, before I found my next consulting position. And so during that time, when you have a house and you have, cable and internet and nothing extravagant, but you still have these expenses every month, whether you got money coming in or not, right? And so my savings dwindled down to nothing overnight, and then I had no money. And so I basically told my dad, and again, he was gracious enough to be able to help me. But here I was, nearly 50 years old, going to my dad, who at that time was in his late 70s, and having to ask for money. And in a way I'm ashamed of it, in a way not. I mean, obviously he was there to help me, and I'm not ashamed to ask, but it's something I don't want to do in my life, right? It's not something a 50-year-old guy should have to do, is ask his dad for money. And so I really don't want that to ever happen again. So now let me tell you kind of how I started solving these problems. Well, oh no, I want to tell you about one more guy. Many years ago here in Dallas, I became friends with Phil Burney, and he was basically a retired band director, and not a school band, but he was actually like a jazz band guy, and he traveled his whole life and went around doing these music gigs and led a little jazz band. And based on his income when he was working, his retirement was $750 a month from Social Security, and he had zero retirement from his company, even if he had a company. I think he was self-employed. And so I could tell, and he told me that his apartment was like $300 and some a month, and your electricity and your bills are at least $100 a month for utilities. And then on top, he had the left to spend on his food. And I know there were some days that he would skip meals because he didn't have enough money to eat throughout the month. And so I realized this is not the type of position you want to be when you're in your 70 plus years old. So anyway, I always have my mind open to things around me. And I was a member of many different internet marketing courses that I've taken over the years, but one guy I followed real regularly was Mike Filsaime. He started as an auto dealership, I think in Long Island, New York, and from there somehow he got into the internet, and he basically started making tons of money doing different things. And I was in his one of his VIP members, and then I get emails from him, how marketers send out emails, right? And one day I got an email from him about this new company. And I looked at it and I thought, this company looks a little cheesy at first. That's the best way I could describe it. But then I thought, but Mike Filsaime wouldn't do anything cheesy. I mean, he's a very successful man. He wouldn't put his name and his reputation on the line for something that was not professional. So it was one of those things that I could sign up for like $25 or so. And I thought, what's $25? I spent a lot more than that on many different marketing courses I've taken. So I got into this and I got the inside view. And basically this company, now what I'm doing is we have a blogging platform, first of all, that can be used for anybody doing any type of marketing. And then we have these digital products inside our portal, basically. And these products help people learn how to market, how to build teams, and one of them is called the Mass Influence Formula. So I love the idea that these are digital products, and it's not like having some juice that you have boxes of in your garage. Now, the founder of our company is Dave Wood, and I love to listen to his story. He basically done several different companies before, and like me, he said either he didn't work or the companies didn't work. I've tried some of these companies before, and the companies would go downhill if I started succeeding or I wasn't succeeding. And anyway, so David said that he was in a company finally where everybody was succeeding except him, so he couldn't blame the company. And so he looked around and said, hey, it's not the company, it's me. I need to change me in order to be successful. And he made some internal changes and commitments. And within 90 days, he had moved to like one of the top earners in that company. And then he did that in, I think, a couple of other companies before founding the company that he's dealing with today. So basically, if I could sum up what I've discovered is that it's a lot about commitment and about belief, basically. You pick a company that you like, that has products you like, you make a commitment, and then you do what they tell you to do. For instance, this company that I'm with, we have quarterly training events, and they say, go to the quarterly training events. And so I do. I've made a commitment. I've been to Miami now. I've been to Nashville, Tennessee. We had one here in Dallas. I've been to Las Vegas, Henderson, Nevada, Lake Nevada, and Charlotte, North Carolina. So I've been to like 5 events now. And each time that you go to these events, it actually increases your belief level because you meet people that are successful there and you realize they're not fakes. You watch sometimes videos like this on the internet and you think, oh, that guy's just faking it because he wants to make more money, right? But these are real live people, and they have real lives, and they have goals and dreams, and like you and I do, and you realize they're just real people, and they've succeeded, and they basically, at these events, they tell you how they succeeded and then give you a action plan where if you're willing to spend how much time you can take, I'd say 6 to 12 hours a week if possible, that you can also do the same type of thing. What a lot of us do is we build digital assets on the internet. Like I created, I think, some 60 or 80 videos on YouTube last year. And those will keep working for me for a life of, some videos will maybe age after a while, won't be as useful. But some of those videos will be good 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, just as good then as they are today. Of course, maybe we'll have holograms or something by then, who knows. But we also blog. We create blogs on the internet. And if you write good quality content, put good blogs out there, people will be searching for things on the internet for years to come, and my blog is going to come up, and then I'd be able to advertise and put other information there on the blog that helps people. So basically, I've already gone through the struggles, and there's no need that you do the same thing. Basically, there's an idea in life that you can learn from a mentor, or you can learn by making mistakes. And the mentorship path is a lot easier, believe me. So I put together a series of videos that I like to send you in the email. I call it like 60 Days to Success. And then I also have a video that if you put your name and your best email in the box below, it'll take you to a video that will describe the company that I chose, that I committed to, and that I'm putting in my 6 to 12 hours a week so that I can be successful and so that retirement is no longer a concern. I mean, I still am thinking about retirement, but now it's in a more positive light, and knowing that I have an action plan to get where I need to go and a way to make it happen. So I'd love to talk to you. You're welcome to connect with me on Facebook. My name is Neal Walters, and go to my blog, retirewithneal.com. Learn more about me, let's connect, and I'd like to show you the video below, so take a look at it, and I'll see you on the inside.